Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation on advanced sentence structure. Today, we'll explore techniques to enhance your writing and communication skills. We'll cover key concepts, practical examples, and tips to elevate your sentences. So, let's get started and make this session both informative and engaging. Let's take a closer look at some useful sentence structures that can help us express timing and contrast more effectively. First, we have no sooner had plus subject plus V3 plus than plus clause. This structure is used to describe two actions that happen very close together in time. For example, no sooner had she entered than the lights went out. It emphasizes how quickly one event follows another. Next, there's subject plus would rather plus verb. This is a way to express a preference or a choice. For instance, I would rather stay silent shows a clear preference for remaining quiet over speaking. Then we have subject plus happen to plus verb. This phrase indicates a chance or accidental occurrence. For example, I happened to meet him yesterday suggests that the meeting was unplanned or incidental. Finally, there's little did plus subject plus no plus clause. This structure is used to highlight that someone was unaware of something significant at the time. For instance, little did he know that someone was watching him. It adds a sense of surprise or irony about their lack of knowledge. Connecting all these structures enrich our language by allowing us to describe events with nuance, whether it's timing, preference, chance, or ignorance. They are especially useful when telling stories or explaining situations vividly and clearly. Now let's take a closer look at some common phrasal verbs that are really useful in everyday communication. First, we have break down, which means to lose emotional control or even stop working. Imagine someone getting overwhelmed and just losing their composure. That's a perfect example. Next is carry out, which simply means to perform or execute a task. For instance, carrying out a project or a plan. Then there's come up with, which is all about producing an idea or solution, like brainstorming and coming up with a new concept. Moving on, cut off refers to disconnecting or stopping communication or supplies, say, cutting off the internet or a phone line. Hold back is about controlling emotions, like holding back tears or anger during a difficult situation. Look down on indicates considering someone or something as inferior, a form of judgment or attitude. Make up for is about compensating or making amends for something lost or lacking. Put up with means tolerating or enduring something unpleasant, like putting up with noise or bad behavior. Rule out involves eliminating a possibility, like ruling out certain options during decision-making. Take over means to gain control or assume responsibility. Think of a new manager taking over a department. Turn down is rejecting or declining something, such as turning down an invitation. Finally, wear out refers to exhausting or using something until it's no longer usable. These phrasal verbs are essential because they not only enrich our vocabulary, but also help us communicate more naturally and effectively in various situations. Remember, understanding these will definitely help you connect better with others and express yourself more clearly. As we look at this image, we see a young woman sitting alone in a dimly lit cafe late at night, with rain falling outside. This scene really captures the essence of how our perception of a situation can be influenced by the environment around us. The dim lighting and rainy night create a mood that might suggest solitude, introspection, or even a sense of mystery. When we interpret images like this, it's important to remember that what we see is often shaped by context, lighting, weather, the subject's body language. All of these elements guide our understanding. For example, the rain outside might evoke feelings of calm or melancholy, depending on our personal experiences. This slide ties into the overall theme of perception because it shows how our minds fill in details and create narratives based on visual cues. We might see her as lonely, thoughtful, or simply enjoying a quiet moment. But ultimately, perception is subjective. It's influenced by our own perspectives and emotions. So, as we analyze images, it's crucial to consider these contextual clues and recognize that what we perceive is just one of many possible interpretations. On this slide, we see a young woman who seems to have been waiting for someone for quite a while. She's sitting quietly near the window, while outside, the heavy rain continues to fall. The atmosphere feels calm, but there's also a sense of emotional intensity hanging in the air. If you look closely at her expression, she's staring at an empty chair across the table. It's almost as if she's trying to hold back her feelings, perhaps a mix of hope and apprehension. The silence inside the cafe is occasionally interrupted by the sound of thunder, adding to the mood of quiet tension. When the waiter approaches her, she suddenly looks away. This gesture suggests she's finding it difficult to stay composed. Yet, she's doing her best not to show her disappointment outwardly. This scene captures a moment of anticipation and emotional vulnerability, which ties into the broader theme of waiting and emotional resilience in our presentation. It's a powerful reminder of how silence and subtle cues can speak volumes about our inner state. So here we see a woman who was probably about to leave, but something clearly held her back. You notice her repeatedly checking her phone, which suggests she's trying to figure out an explanation for someone's absence. What's really interesting is that, unbeknownst to those around her, she had already been turned down earlier that evening. Despite this disappointment, she remains composed, calmly waiting near the rain-covered window. This moment highlights resilience and the quiet strength people often show when facing personal setbacks, fitting into our overall theme of emotional endurance and the unspoken stories behind everyday moments. So, on this slide, I want to highlight Ananya's struggle with expressing her feelings openly. It's something many of us can relate to, feeling nervous or unsure when it comes to sharing what's truly inside. Imagine her arriving at that quiet downtown cafe on a cold evening, hopping to meet someone important. She seems prepared, emotionally ready, yet her nervousness is obvious, showing how difficult it can be to hide inner emotions. As the rain pours outside, she silently observes the busy world rushing past through the glass. That visual really underscores her feeling of isolation and introspection in that moment. Soon after she sits down, memories from her past start to trouble her. That's a common experience. Our minds often bring up old wounds or regrets when we're in sensitive situations. She tries to hold back her emotions, but the silence around her only makes it harder, emphasizing how silence can feel heavy and uncomfortable. At one point, she's on the verge of leaving, which shows her inner conflict. Should she walk away or stay and face her feelings? But she chooses to stay, deciding to try again to find the right words, just in case this meeting actually happens. This story, titled The Last Meeting, ties into the broader theme of vulnerability and courage. It reminds us that even when we're scared or unsure, sometimes persistence and a bit of hope are what keep us going. So, as we move forward, think about how these moments of hesitation and vulnerability are part of our growth, how they shape our ability to connect more authentically with others. Nearly an hour passed, and during that time her phone battery suddenly died, leaving her unable to contact anyone. Despite feeling disappointed, she refused to completely give up hope. Just when it seemed like all was lost, a few minutes later, a familiar face appeared at the entrance. It was Arav, the same person who had turned down her apology years ago. Ananya couldn't help but smile faintly, feeling a mix of emotions. Little did she know, Arav had spent years trying to make amends for his past mistakes. The conversation that followed was truly transformative. It made both of them realize that some relationships endure not because they are flawless, but because people are willing to endure pain, misunderstandings, and the passage of time. In the end, what seemed like a painful, uncertain evening actually marked the start of a new chapter in their lives. This story reminds us that sometimes, what feels like a setback can lead to a meaningful and unexpected renewal. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. I really appreciate the opportunity to share these insights with you. Remember, the key points we discussed highlight how important it is to apply these concepts thoughtfully and consistently in your work. The overall theme was about growth through understanding and innovation, and I hope you feel inspired to take these ideas forward. Again, thank you for being here and for your engagement. I look forward to seeing how you implement these strategies in your own projects.